Hey guys, welcome to the 41st C programming tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to be looking at unions. And unions are very similar to structs. So let's just go ahead right here and create a union and treat it as though it is a struct. So we're just going to go up here and say type def union, not struct, and then inside of our union right here we're just going to have an integer variable called I, and then we're going to have a character variable called C. And then we're just going to go ahead and call this union my union. Alright, so let's just go ahead right here and create a my union object. So we're going to say my union, and then I'll just call it mu. And then we're just going to go ahead and set this integer variable called I inside of our union equal to 0. So mu.I equals 0. And then we're going to set the character variable called C equal to 4. So we're going to say mu.C equals 4. Alright, so now let's just go ahead and print out onto the screen the value of our integer variable called I. So we're going to say printf %i/n to end the line, and then we're just going to say mu.I, since we just want to print out the value of that integer variable called I inside of our union. So let's just go ahead and run this and see what we get. We get 4. Now let me just go ahead and explain why. Now, unions will basically just allow you to store everything inside of that union at the exact same address in memory. So that means that a union is just as big as the largest variable inside of that union. So our union, called my union, is the size of an integer, since an integer is 4 bytes and a character is 1 byte. So an integer is obviously larger than a character, so our union is 4 bytes in length. Let me just go ahead and draw this out in Paint so that you get a little bit better of an idea of what's going on here. Alright, so like I said, our union is 4 bytes in length. So we're just going to draw out 4 bytes for our union. So these 4 bytes represent our union right here. And an integer is 4 bytes in length. So that means that these 4 bytes right here are for our integer variable called I. So I'm just going to put I right there. And then inside of these same 4 bytes is where our character variable is stored. Our character variable is stored right here, in the same 4 bytes that our integer is stored. C, so C is stored in this single byte right there. Alright, so that means that when we change our integer variable called I to 0, what it's doing is it's setting all of these bytes equal to 0. Then when we change our character variable called C, we're changing this byte right here to equal 4. So that means when we're changing our character variable, we're also changing our integer variable. So when we print out I onto the screen, we got 4. Alright, so now let's just go ahead and go back to code blocks and create another union. Actually, let's just go ahead and change the contents of this one. So we're going to say that inside of our union, we've got 2 character pointers. So we're going to say car star, and we're just going to say first name, and we're also going to have another character pointer called last name. Alright, so now what we're going to do right here is we're just going to say mu.firstName equals Adam, and we're going to set the last name equal to Smith. So last name equals Smith, and Smith is not my real last name, in case you're wondering. And then we're just going to go ahead and print out onto the screen this union's first name. So we're just going to say %s, since it's stored as a string, and then we're just going to say mu.firstName. And then let's just go ahead and run this and see what happens. And we get out onto the screen Smith. Alright, so now let's just go ahead and draw this in Paint and see what's going on here. So let me just go ahead and erase all this. Alright, like I said earlier, the size of any union is the size of the biggest variable inside it. And inside of our union we have 2 character pointers. And the size of any pointer is 4 bytes. So that means that the size of our union now is still 4 bytes. So we're just going to go ahead and reserve 4 bytes in memory for our union called my union. Alright, so these 4 bytes in memory store both last name and first name. So we're going to say right here, these 4 bytes store first name, so I'll just put first, and these 4 bytes also store last name. So we're just going to say last right here. So the first thing that we have it do in code blocks is set first name to point to the address of Adam. So we're just going to say that Adam is stored somewhere out here in memory. So we're just going to say A, D, A, M, and then /0 for that null terminating character. And then we're just going to go ahead and say that these 5 bytes are where Adam is stored. And we'll say that the address of these 5 bytes is 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so like I said, we set this first name to point to this Adam. So we say first name equals the address 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, and the next thing that we have it do is we say last name equals the address of Smith. So we're going to say that Smith is somewhere down here in memory, so we'll say Smith, and then of course that's /0. So these 6 bytes just store Smith, and the address of these 6 bytes we'll say is 5, 6, 7, 8. So now we're setting these 4 bytes to hold the address of Smith. So now we have to erase this right here, and we have to go ahead and change it to 5, 6, 7, 8, which is the address of Smith. So 5, 6, 7, 8. So now when we go ahead and print out first name, we're actually getting Smith because these 4 bytes that are both first name and last name point to the address of Smith. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial on unions. So see you guys.